What is up, guys? Today I'm doing the first ever driving Empire Iceberg. If you're not aware of how the iceberg works, it's where you take a bunch of information on a certain topic and put it on this image of an iceberg that has different tiers on it. The sky tier is where all the fairly well-known information goes. Normally, if you have been playing Driving Empire for about a couple weeks or so now, you may already know these things. And the deeper we go, the more interesting the information gets. I would like to give a huge thanks and shout out to MattJ155 for the whole idea and inspiration for the editing of this video. Make sure you guys go sub to him, I'll leave a link in the description. Now without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started with the top layer, the sky. Hidden pictures. This is something that 99% of the Driving Empire community will know. It's all the funny pictures that are hidden around the map. There used to be a lot of different ones, but as of right now, we only have one that still remains in the game. It's the Simpsons robbing a bank. Ones like the sad SpongeBob picture has unfortunately been removed, but who knows, maybe they will add more in the coming days. Borges and Voldex. A user by the name of Borges was the original owner of Driving Empire before he sold the game. We assumed that working on the game was too stressful, so he gave the game to a company by the name of Voldex, which is who currently owns the game and is likely never being sold to anybody again. Voldex made their announcement to the game on December 22nd of 2022, saying that they have officially bought Driving Empire and are the new owners. Wait for it. As people may already know, the game you guys obviously play is Driving Empire, right? Well, back in 2019, the game first came out by the name of Wait for it. The game would keep its name up until August 29th of 2020, which is when the game would be renamed to none other than its current branding. It still seems to be unknown why the game had to change its name in the first place. Was it because they needed a name that referred to cars specifically? Or was there a different reason entirely? We may never know for sure, but thanks to the devs from the past and Voldex, we have quite a bit of references to Wait for it, which I'll put on screen now. Crates. After Voldex had officially bought Driving Empire, they were trying to find some ways to make their money back after the huge amounts of money they spent on purchasing it. And their solution to that were gambling-styled crates. And once they released on February 3rd of 2023, it was instantly hated by the community, and it was pretty easy to see why. Adding a gambling-styled crate box, which was a huge money loss, wasn't exactly the best idea for a Robux making method. The whole community would obviously be against this and beg Voldex to remove it, and it would take them up until November 25th of 2023 to finally listen to the community and remove the crates for good. Original jobs. If you were for whatever reason curious on what jobs are in the game, you'd find out that there is not too much that is job related. You have a purchasable police light bar and a taxi bar, which if you really think about it, they are not really considered jobs since you can't get any money by working at these jobs. Well, if you were able to start playing Driving Empire early enough, you would be aware of the jobs tab that used to be on the join menu before sadly removed. There were three options to choose from: civilian, police, which had been renamed to security later on in the game, and criminal. But what happened to these job choices at the join menu? Well, the police job is still technically a thing in Driving Empire, and civilian you kinda just join the game, so it's default. But criminal is absolutely nowhere. Well, my guess is that licensing from these companies wouldn't allow their cars to be engaged with criminal activity going on in the game it is trying to be in. Which makes sense, but arguably this almost doesn't change anything since you're driving super fast on public roads and breaking down stuff in the game and more of the such. So we may never know why the original jobs actually got removed, but for now we can only assume. Bob the Lego Man. There's many Easter eggs in Driving Empire that a lot of people may already know about, but the most iconic and loved one is none other than Bob the Lego Man himself. He can actually be seen in two places. The most commonly known place is during the cross-country race, where you can see him holding up the power lines. And one spot that less people know about is Bob acting as a shark at the tropical island. Alrighty, moving on to the next layer, the tip of the iceberg. Lamborghini removal. Now there's a chance you are already aware of car removals in Driving Empire due to the crate system. Well, Lamborghini has also been removed from Driving Empire in the past. But what makes Lamborghini's removal so much more interesting and different from all the other ones? Well, you would assume Lamborghini has been removed for the same reason as the other car brands, right? But Lamborghini themselves actually was going to sue Roblox entirely for using their models illegally. So every game had to remove or put all of their Lamborghini models off sale, which unfortunately also included Driving Empire as well. Lexus LFA Nürburgring. On July 10th of 2022, we got a brand new update in Driving Empire, which had included the Ferrari SF90 Spider, Ferrari SP2, a limited Lamborghini Cayenne Roadster, the Lamborghini Miura, the Ferrari 812 Competizione Aperta, and a limited Lamborghini Miura SV. However, a little later after the update came out, there was an unreleased car that got put out as a limited for 12 hours, which was none other than the Lexus LFA Nürburgring package. The funny thing about this car is that its release was never actually announced, which I believe was intentional. You just had to hope that you would see it before it went on sale. Or of course if you saw another YouTuber upload about it. And if you tried to buy it, it would constantly say slow down when trying to purchase. It's not known how long it normally took until it actually worked, but there was one YouTuber who claimed he had waited for over an hour just to finally purchase it. This was the only car to ever release the way it did. Couch Empire. There are obviously many different testing places for Driving Empire, one of which being a testing place called Couch Empire. The word couch could possibly relate to Countach in Driving Empire, which was called the Veloce Couch in-game. But the real question is, what is in this testing place? You could just assume that it just included the basic testing stuff, which would just be one of the classic maps with some cars to maybe test them out for bugs, bumps in the road, and chassis. Or maybe there are some crazy unreleased cars or cars that have already been removed from the game. We may never know for sure, but we can wait to see if a dev would be nice enough to tell us what lies behind the infamous testing place. Koenigsegg's odd removal. Koenigsegg was our overall second removal in Driving Empire. Although it wasn't fully removed, they were still in the game but just unlisted and off sale, and was the first brand to be unlisted instead of fully removed. What makes this weird is that they said that Koenigsegg would return fairly soon if things went smoothly, but clearly never did. It's been over a year now without anything at all said about Koenigsegg returning, but I do have an answer if they will return or not. They don't really have any plans on bringing them back, and they're just going to keep them unlisted. But I'm positive that voters themselves have already forgotten about Koenigsegg even existing in the game, so who knows what will happen. Borges Lambo. As you guys know now that Borges was the original owner of Driving Empire before selling it off to Voltex. His go-to choice for a car is a Lamborghini Gallardo in Driving Empire itself. Well, something that new players may not know is that he also owns a Lamborghini Gallardo in real life. Specifically the Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. This specific model would also come in a Lamborghini car pack with the Superleggera being the main car. In real life, Borges tuned his Superleggera by a tuning company called Underground Racing, which tuned his car all the way up to a crazy 1,800 horsepower. Borges had also shown many other cars he has owned, such as his McLaren 720S, his Lamborghini Huracan STO, his lime green Lamborghini Aventador with a Gintani exhaust, which there has never been any videos or screenshots as of so far, and his Ferrari 488 Pista. And he also owns a black Lamborghini Aventador SVJ, a purple Lamborghini Revolto, and he apparently had a black 720S with forged carbon until he traded it for a Porsche 911. And he's honestly probably got a lot more cars that we don't know about. A pretty awesome collection for a Roblox dev. Nick. For those who don't actually know Nick, he has been around for Driving Empire since almost the very beginning. Nick was the old community manager for Driving Empire and was extremely loved by all the members of Driving Empire. Sadly, he stepped down from the community manager role on January 22nd to start an actual career. Hope everything is going well, Nick. Honda Accord. Before Honda was unfortunately removed due to the crate era, the Honda Accord was one of the cheapest vehicles to buy at a price of 24,960 credits. And over the time it has been added, it had become the biggest meme car in the game, besides the PLP-50. Players would always put the most hideous specs and suspension customization on it and drive around to troll players. But now Honda is removed, so you can no longer use it. But there is plenty of screenshots somewhere around the internet. The Honda Accord will always live on as a Driving Pyre meme. Valkyrie swapped Vantage. On February 17th of 2023, Driving Pyre put out their long-awaited housing update that everyone had been waiting for a long time. And along with this housing update, we got two new cars alongside it. The SSC Tuatara and the Aston Martin V12 Vantage Roadster. But actually, there was a strange mess up that happened with the Aston Martin, which gave it the stats of the super rare Aston Martin Valkyrie. This glitch had only lasted probably not even for an hour until the stats had been switched back. This makes it Driving Pyre's fastest nerf to any car in Driving Pyre so far. Hidden cars returning by mistake. A lot of cars have been hidden in Driving Pyre. Not exactly removed, but they are set as unlisted so you can't actually see them, but they are still in the dealership technically. But what if I said that there was a time that all these hidden cars actually came back on sale? Yes, I'm not joking. On December 29th, every hidden vehicle came back on sale. Cars such as Alfa Romeo, Nissan, Pagani, Chevy, Koenigsegg, McLaren, Bugatti, and so much more. But something really odd was that Bugatti, Chevy, and Pagani were all shown in the dealership, despite them being fully removed from the game entirely. This raised a lot of speculation in the community, thinking that we were getting a licensing for these brands. Because why were these brands still in the game when they're meant to be removed from the game fully? Were they brought back to possibly be remeshed into licensed cars? Who knows? We just gotta wait and see in the upcoming updates. Bunnidian. So a lot of you slightly older players will know Borges was the previous owner of Driving Pyre. Well, the truth is that Borges wasn't actually the only founder of Driving Pyre. Bunnidian was actually the one who had the idea to make a car game since he had games that were already doing well and asked Borges to help him out with working on the game. There is some videos out on the internet that shows Bunnidian's owner tag along with Borges with the co-owner tag. Sadly, Bunnidian and Borges had a falling out and they split up. Bunnidian didn't actually fire Borges though. He instead gave full ownership to Borges and ditched Driving Pyre altogether, which at the time was, wait for it, to work on a new project which would turn out to be Vehicle Legends. It's still unknown why they had a falling out, but it was because of an argument they had. Unreleased cars. Driving Pyre has many cars in their game already, specifically 170 plus, at least that's what they claim. Well, that's not the only cars to notice. There are many unreleased cars that we never ended up getting. Cars such as the Aston Martin Vulcan AMR Pro, Jeep Wrangler, Mazda Miata, and even a Lamborghini LM002. These are some cars that had never made an appearance in Driving Pyre's history, but were legitimately leaked by Driving Pyre themselves. Some of these are fairly old leaks from maybe 2020 to 2021, but the Vulcan AMR Pro is the most recent, being leaked in 2023. Around the same time when Voltix first bought Driving Pyre. It's completely unknown if the devs ever plan on adding these cars in any form in the future, but who knows, we just gotta wait and see. Above ground racing. A while back there was a building located beside the Queen's Building and the bank, called Above Ground Racing. This might not seem too much of a surprise to you, but what's really cool is that this is the fictional name for Underground Racing, which is the tuning company that the previous owner, Borges, got his real-life Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggero tuned at. Another interesting secret is that you were actually able to go inside the building. Unfortunately, the logo has been removed from the building and you can no longer go inside of the building. However, if you go in free cam and go inside the building that way, you can see the remaining above ground logo that still remains on the floor of the building. Empty shell of police station. As we already talked about, the original jobs we had in the game were removed in the past. And when the police shop got removed, the police station technically went with it. I say technically because it's still somewhat here. All that's left is just the remainings of the police station where you could arrest people and they would get teleported to one of the cells. Stranger still, the actual cells are removed, but the text that would be on the cells is still there despite not being able to arrest people anymore. Something you are still able to do though is pay off your bounty. Spookfest 2022 shutdown. On October 29th of 2022, Driving Empire released a brand new Spookfest event for the year. And it was supposed to go from October 29th to November 15th. But sadly, it never reached November 15th and would instead end on November 5th. 10 days earlier than planned. But why was it ended so incredibly early? Well, Borges at the time came forward to explain that it was because the event wasn't getting a lot of attention and was making the game very laggy. When this event was going on, I kept on running on about 30 FPS. When I would have the FPS unlocker and get about 100 to 150 FPS. And I'd run on a pretty good PC, which just gives an example on how bad the lag was for some people. We were also supposed to get the Bugatti 110, which was a car that got removed a long time ago, and we would have gotten it in that event. But sadly, the event ended and never got to see its true reveal. But the Cento and all the other cars, besides the Aston Martin DB5 and Mercedes 300 SL, were set in the dealership as limiteds for the rest of the 10 days the Spookfest didn't get to finish. Tier 3, Deeper Under the Surface. Blue Backfire. As is pretty obvious, Backfire in Driving Empire is the color orange when revving up your vehicle. Or maybe it's red or yellow, whatever color you like to assume it is. Anyways, you may have not noticed that there is some cars that actually have blue backfire. There's 3 cars that have the feature. The Porsche 911 GT1 Shotgun version, the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody, and the Dodge Charger SRT 392. All 3 of these vehicles each have blue backfire. They're all on sale, so you unfortunately can't buy them anymore. Pagani serial number. In one of the Pagani licensing updates, we got a new car bundle in the game, which included a Pagani Huayra BC Tempesta and a Pagani Zonda Cinque at a cost of 4,000 Robux. However, if you decided to purchase the Pagani pack and spawn the Cinque, you would look on the back and see a serial number that read 3 of 5. And if you go online to look up the car with the serial number, it's the same exact spec as the stock one in game. This can also be seen on the Zonda Cinque Roadster that reads 5 of 5 instead. These are the only 2 cars that have a serial number on them and are not in any other car in the game. 1 of 1 car buyable. A lot of people have forgotten about this update, or at least it doesn't get talked about a lot. But Voltex released an auction update a while back and added 2 cars, a off-brand Chrysler 300 and a off-brand Ford Mustang Dark Horse. That was added as the one-off vehicle that only 1 player could obtain by paying absurd amounts of money despite only being worth $170,970 in the dealership. Although the update was published wrong and it caused the Dark Horse to be put on sale for everybody. Voltex fixed this within only a few minutes before it got taken off sale. But over 1,000 players, including myself, have already obtained it. So it went from being a car that only 1 user could get their hands on, to being a car for over 1,000 users, if not more, making this one of Driving Empire's biggest mistakes they have made. Bugatti Atlantic. Around 2020 or 2021, after we had a wait for it renamed to Driving Empire, We got the iconic Bugatti Atlantic in the dealership for a limited time. And at the time, it was the most expensive vehicle to enter the game, costing 20 million credits. It held the record for the most expensive buyable vehicle in the game for over 2 years straight before being surpassed by the McLaren F1 LM, costing 25,724,027 credits. The car was so iconic that it became a funny Easter egg in the game a while back before we got another map revamp, where the Atlantic was all rusted with the wheels falling off. Slot cars. If you're not aware of what slot cars are, they're basically cars that are made for the devs only and not for the players. With slot cars, they could really be anything they want, so they could have a fully custom Lambo if they wanted to. You have most likely seen one of their slot cars, which is the Ninja Turtles Ralph car, which was reviewed by GameTime Kyle. But there's actually a lot of other slot cars as well, but not a lot of them have been shown yet. However, there has been a total of 3 revealed slot cars. There's been the Ninja Turtles car, a fully custom Lamborghini Huracan, and a dev car that has all the vehicle body panels listed, which looks really hilarious. Maybe more will get shown in the future, but these are the only 3 that have been shown to us as of now. Tier 5, Going Deeper. Unreleased dealership. The dealership has been through many phases, starting off as a pretty simple white box with windows during Wait For It, all up to our current design. Well, back in 2021 we had a brand new dealership leak that was called Autopia, but would never release. It's a super beautiful dealership, so why didn't they release it? Perhaps maybe it was too detailed or too big and caused too much lag? Or maybe they thought the interior was underwhelming after seeing the exterior of the building. Well, thanks to Danarang in the DE leak server, I now have the answer. It was because of quality issues. Over a year ago during a Fortnite session, Danarang asked about the scrapped dealership design, and a dev named Astra said it was because while developing, the dev team ran into some problems that had to do with the dealership's quality. Therefore, it had to be scrapped and was forgotten about over time. Reverdicts. If you know Midnight Chasers, then most likely you're aware of their owners, Hateful and Reverdicts. But something you wouldn't know is that Reverdicts was originally a dev for Driving Empire. When Wait For It was trying to find a new name for the game, he came up with the name Driving Champions. Which, let's be honest, it sounds a little weird, so it's no wonder why the community chose Driving Empire instead of Driving Champions. Something funny though is that Reverdicts had announced that Midnight Chasers would most likely be getting its name changed to Driving Champions, to make the name more clear about the game's purpose. So it seems like the Driving Champions name is actually going to be getting used in the near future. Proteus Studios. A very high chance that back then you might have saw YouTubers posting early leaks that Driving Empire themselves haven't even posted yet. But the question remained on how these people were able to do so. Was it the devs hooking them up with early leaks? Or were they fake entirely and just somehow guessed right? Well, the answer to that is by a group called Proteus Studios. A group which has many unlisted and hidden versions of Driving Empire. Though as of what I'm aware of, the game doesn't actually have anything in it, but these testing games are used to test thumbnails and banners for the actual Driving Empire game. Other content creators or fans that send content creators leaks define these games and send images to whoever or wherever they want. Also, despite the game having a playable option, if you try to join the game, you will just be teleported back to the original game. Tier 6, the bottom of the iceberg. Unreleased track pass cars? The Driving Empire track pass has been around since 2020, with the first 3 cars added being the Aston Martin Vantage AMR Pro, the Lexus RCF Track Edition, and the Lamborghini Sesto Elemento. And over the time it has been in the game, it has included many beloved cars, such as the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo, the Ferrari FXX, and the extremely iconic Bugatti Bolide. However, you may not know that there were some more track cars that were going to be added, but never actually came to the game. We're not too sure if there were any more, but there is 2 that we are aware of, those being the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo and the BMW M3 GT3. It's suspected that these cars were going to be coming to the game as part of the track passing game. However, these cars never came to the game at all, despite them looking fully done and completed, and even more than one leak of both cars. So why did they not come to the game when they were fully finished models? Did the devs think they didn't seem to fit well with the other track pass cars? Or perhaps something happened during publishing or developing that made them unable to put these cars out. The devs themselves don't even seem to remember putting these leaks out, nor even the cars overall, so we may never get an answer. But actually, we did end up getting the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo in a recent update, but all we have of the BMW is a couple images and nothing else. It's highly unlikely, but maybe now in 2024, Voltex will get BMW licensing and license the BMW M3 GT3 that we never got. Tanner. As we talked about, Vaninian was the original creator of WayFort and Borges was the co-owner. Well, back then when Borges had full ownership of WayFort, Borges had a co-owner of his own, named Tier, or Tier, or Tier? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but Tanner is his real name. Anyways, it's unknown if Tanner was around when Borges first got his ownership of Driving Empire, but he was a really big part of Driving Empire at the time. But sadly, he would unfortunately leave Driving Empire sometime in 2021. Scrapped new logo. When Voltex first bought Driving Empire back in December 22nd of 2022, you would think their first move was the crates, right? Well, something that not a lot of people would remember is the Driving Empire logo that Voltex designed, and it never seemed to make it to the game, which in my opinion is a good thing because this does not look good at all. But why was this new logo scrapped? Maybe it was because it didn't get the approval from the community? Did the devs not like it as much as the current one themselves? Or maybe they agree that the current one was too iconic and loved to be changed. Who knows? WayFort 2. While crates were out after Voltex took over, Borges was fully aware on what was happening and how upset everybody was. Which this would be one of the worst times to join Roblox Studio in a game called Ridgeline development. People only thought this was going to be another car game because, well, what other game do you expect Borges to make? Anyways, Ridgeline was rumored to be WayFort 2, and being talked about in the Driving Empire Discord server as far back as 2020. Knowing Ridgeline was known so far back, it was assumed that it was going to be a revived project. Many content creators, including myself, were making videos on the news, and I managed to upload the first ever leaks of the game. That was until Borges came out with a message saying that Ridgeline was fake and not a game he was working on. But this is where things get odd. If the game was apparently fake, then why were there so many leaks of cars actually in the base plate, and Borges himself even talking about Ridgeline coming out in its development? Well, apparently according to Borges, it turns out that Ridgeline is Driving Empire, which would mean that the game's name has been through 3 different names. It would go from Ridgeline, to WayFort, to Driving Empire. But there is something very odd about this information. If Ridgeline was actually Driving Empire, then how come this was going on back in 2020, when WayFort came out in 2019? WayFort had already been released when Ridgeline was set to come out soon. Maybe Borges was just having a little bit of fun with the rumor and decided to jump in on it, but he did seem a little upset when he saw that people found out about it. So unless Borges decides to come out, we may never know the truth of Ridgeline. With that being said, I would suppose that the Ridgeline pier in current Driving Empire would be considered an Easter egg and a reference to the scrapped name. Removed McLarens. Back then, while car removals were still commonly happening, McLaren was still a solid brand that seemed to have no chance of getting removed from Driving Empire. But back on April 27th of 2023, we had McLarens unlisted in the dealership. Those 3 McLarens being the McLaren Senna, the Speedtail, and the P1LM. 2 of the 3 cars would return to the game as licensed vehicles on June 14th of this year. The P1LM was the one McLaren that didn't return in the update. But despite them being licensed or not, they never returned even before the licensing. Keep in mind that this was a whole year ago before the licensing of McLaren. People were thinking that this was once again another removal, but if it was, then wouldn't all the McLarens go with those 3 like Koenigseggs? Although on May 10th of 2023, we thought we saw the Speedtail Leaf in the icon for Driving Empire's first Build a Car event. So we thought the McLaren Speedtail would return as the car we had to build in the event. But strangely it didn't, and we instead got an off-brand RS-S1 for the event instead. Lotus removal money glitch. On August 7th of 2023, we had a Lotus unfortunately removed from Driving Empire, meaning we lost all 3 Lotus cars: the Lotus Evija, the Lotus Exige Cup 430, and the 1996 Elise. And you would have gotten the money back along with 50% extra of the car's price and value. If you owned the Lotus Evija when the removal happened, there was a glitch in the game where you could have ran in the dealership, buy the Evija again, leave the game, join back, and you would be able to get the 150% of the money back, and you could keep on doing this until they patched it a little while later. Tier 7. Underneath the Iceberg. Mystery Audi R8. On April 21st of 2023, we got the new updated Driving Empire that came with 2 off-brand Lamborghinis, the Lamborghini Bravolto and the Lamborghini Gallardo. But there's something the players didn't notice when the update went live that the devs had secretly slipped in. There was going to be this Audi R8 that came with it in the update, though it was never put on sale and was left in the off sale section ever since it even came in the game. But why did this car go off sale in the first place? One of the Driving Empire's old QAs stated that it's probably due to the 2 Lamborghinis being off-brand cars. Vodex Audio probably would have looked odd seeing 2 off-brand models with a realistic model in the same update. If that was the case, then why would they even bother adding the car in the update in the first place? Why not just save it for another update? Who knows what the answer is. But something quite interesting is that the exact model, which is a 2023 Audi R8, doesn't even seem to be a licensed model. We did get the Audi R8 V10 GT, which is the upgraded version of the Mystery R8. So it's possible, but we may never see the standard 2023 R8 come back to Driving Empire. WayFort's Lost Trailer. I'm pretty sure everyone is aware of the old WayFort trailer that Borges himself uploaded onto his own channel back in May 9th of 2021. Players have also made their own fan-made trailers. Driving Empire has been given 2 different trailers, the one we already have mentioned, and the trailer that included WayFort's updated name, Driving Empire, back in December 12th of 2020. However, something you may not expect is that there is one more trailer that is completely missing from the internet, and it was a part of WayFort's trailer. Let's go back to the WayFort trailer. If we look at the thumbnail of it, we can see this lineup of cars, which are a Dodge Viper, a Shelby GT500, and the Chevy Camaro ZL1. What you may not know is that this thumbnail was actually a scene for the trailer, but if you actually watch the trailer, you will notice that the scene never appears in the trailer, nor any other existing trailer on the internet. I do remember seeing this scene, which is why it is in this video at all. But of course you don't have to believe me. But saying this scene was actually somewhere in a trailer, where could it have gone? It hasn't seemed to be cut out in the trailer credit when the song is actually part of the scene that goes in the trailer. So what happened to it? The only thing we have of this scene is the thumbnail to the trailer. Well, there's a couple things we can assume. Maybe the trailer with the scene was actually a separate video and was unlisted from the channel? Or could it have been an unused scene that never got put in the trailer? Or maybe I'm wrong about this whole thing and the picture was never an actual scene. But if it is a thing, we know Borges has it and it is either privated or deleted fully and was lost media. Burning car. Going back to the WayFort beta trailer uploaded by Borges, there was a scene of a Dodge Challenger and a Shelby GT500 on a drag strip. They would end up driving almost halfway on the track until the GT500 would spin out and very unexpectedly burst into flames. As I'm sure every player would know, cars don't explode in Driving Empire, nor did they in WayFort, let alone the beta version. So would this mean that we could have gotten car fires in WayFort? But the question is, why was it featured in the trailer if it never came? Could it have been something they planned on adding but found out it wouldn't make much sense in a racing game? Or maybe there was a chance of a firefighter job which would give the game a roleplay aspect? Or was it just a little addition to the trailer for the style? We may never know, but it's still really strange that a burning car was in the trailer. Missing car. Back in 2021 during the Wait For days, you would 100% be fully aware of the McLaren Titanium, aka the McLaren Sabre. Back then, it was the fastest McLaren in the game before it was unfortunately removed in December 12th of 2023, along with the 688 MSO. It had apparently been a very forgotten car back then, probably because of it being a really rare car, making it known as a mystery car. However, there had been a car that went completely missing from the game entirely back in 2020 of Wait For It, which was called the AM Crest. Fortunately enough, this missing car was revealed after some time to be none other than the Aston Martin Vulcan, and its model would get remeshed and updated in 2023 on March 31st. Because I believe it was still in the game at the time, but because it wasn't named the AM Crest, because it was named the AM Crest after being updated in 2021. It was actually named the AM Claymore, and on top of it not even being seen in the dealership anymore. It's no wonder this car was missing. Moving train. If you guys have explored the map enough, you guys may be aware of the train that sits on the train tracks. Well, something that has been extremely difficult to notice is that it has been slowly moving every update back then. Knowing it moves so slowly, it's unable to tell if it's still moving today. But the question is, where was it moving to? If you go to both ends of the train tracks, you will see there's really nothing on both ends. So why was or is it moving? If it's still moving, then we just have to wait and see. But if it isn't, then we may never know what it was trying to lead to. Dealership location. I'm 99% sure that you have been in the dealership to buy a car at least once in Driving Empire. Though I'm willing to bet that you have never stopped to think about where the actual dealership is located. When you enter the dealership and select a car to check it out, you will see the room has 3 licensed Pagani cars. The Pagani Tricolore, the Huayra R, and the Imola. The room has wall lights, very interesting shaped windows, and of course a little platform to preview the car you're interested in. But where is this dealership located? You can't go in free cam while in the dealership, so you can't go to see where it's at. The only thing we can take from exterior looks is the windows of the location. However, if you went in the city to look around, you will see that not even one building has even close to similar windows. So what can we assume? Well, the thing I can think of is that Driving Empire did exactly what Vehicle Legends did. In Vehicle Legends, you're able to go into the dealership and go in free cam, and you can go out in the dealership to see that it's super far out from the actual map that you can drive on, but only will show if you're actually in the dealership. So in Driving Empire's case, it's probably the same thing. Only difference is sadly you can't go in free cam. Index 15. There has been many deaths for Driving Empire, although there's one that we should definitely talk about that you probably haven't heard of. Index 15. Index 15 was originally a dev for Ultimate Driving. He was not in a good situation and really needed a way to make money, which is why he went to work for Driving Empire in February 23rd of 2023 as a universe builder. Ex-QA member Madelite asked the Index 15 if he needed somewhere to work and offered him to work at Driving Empire and was subsequently hired as a 3D generalist. Madelite only offered Index 15 to work at DE because the former map builder at the time resigned and needed a new one, and Index 15 was there to help. Index 15 would do some work on the map, and some of his work would be put into the Premium Crate update. The green lamps that are located past the lighthouse and the parking meters at the Pinky's building were a couple things that he added and were actually from maps he worked on for Ultimate Driving. Something important to know is that Index 15 could have potentially been the next map designer and could have helped with improvements for the map of DE. Sadly though, Index 15 would ditch Voldex after a couple of months. He was only part-time and wasn't really a full-time member for Voldex, but he is a university student. Something pretty funny is that Index 15 somewhat works for Ultimate Driving again. Index 15 still hangs around Roblox hoping someone will find him and offer to work on their game to make it some extra cash. I was shown some of Index 15's work on Roblox Studio, and it looks absolutely amazing. This could have been a rough idea on a new map if Index 15 was still with Voldex and DE overall. Pure wait for it vibes. Sadly, we can only imagine of what this kind of work would be like if it would ever have came to Driving Pyre, and we will most likely never see the day come, but just remember to appreciate the minor detail he had put in for the map. Concept car. As we know that Driving Pyre has never had a concept car in its entire history, unless you want to count the Devil 16. Well, what if I told you that there was a concept car being worked on for Driving Pyre that never came to the game, nor was part of a leak? That concept car was going to be a McLaren Speedtail GTR concept. Not exactly the most good looking car, but it's a concept that we were possibly getting in Driving Pyre for the first time ever. There was only one existing image of the Speedtail GTR for Driving Pyre, and it was its model being worked on in Blender. It's a very horrible quality image, but it is the only existing one of this car even being associated with Driving Pyre. A couple people I have seen have said that it was a fake image or not associated with Driving Pyre at all, but you never know. In my opinion, I don't think this is ever going to get added in Driving Pyre, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the Speedtail GTR has a chance of coming to Driving Pyre in the future now with McLaren licensing? Or will it stay as a forgotten scrapped vehicle that will never see the light of day in Driving Pyre? And that's everything. That is all the interesting information of Driving Pyre, from very well known to the most interesting and very little known info. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This took so much work and research to make, so I deeply appreciate it if you left a like. I felt like this was a very educational video for you guys to learn some new facts, secrets, and information about your favorite Roblox racing game. If you guys did enjoy, then leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day everyone, and peace.